Hello everyone, it's Richard Lewis here again with another video, and today I'm going to be talking about a topic that I've broached a few times on podcasts and on my stream, but it amazes me how many people seem to not know about this, and it's a topic that has relevance in a broader esports context. So I'm going to be talking about Astralis and what happened with their League of Legends team. I know I don't do a lot of League of Legends coverage now, but the reason I want to commit this to a video is so we can talk about it in a broader context, how it impacts on the CSGO side of things, what it says about the org holistically, and obviously I've done lots of reporting about Astralis. Now, some morons imply that's because I'm biased, I have some, hatred or negativity towards the org as a whole. I don't know why people can never understand that. I only really go after organizations or personalities that engage in what I consider to be harmful practices to the esports space. And there's no denying that the Astralis ownership has engaged in a number of deceptive practices. But now what we're starting to see is how this is impacting on the dollars and cents, the economics of it all. And that is having a negative impact on the quality of life of the players that are playing under the organization of Astralis. Now, Astralis have such a broad kind of appeal to the whole of the esports scene and in particular the Danish scene. Media about them is very, very positive. You know, they get very positive coverage in a lot of places because of the excellence in particular of their CSGO team. And that's fine. That kind of good faith, I totally understand. But what doesn't get talked about as much as stories such as this, which I think are big news and are of a relevant interest to you if you're a fan of the org or if you're just a fan of any esport that Astralis touches. So I'll just remind you of the coverage I did on Deserto back in June. It feels like ancient history, I know, but this was a long article I wrote that was about the problems behind the scenes at Astralis, how they'd overworked their CSGO team, how relationships had become strained between the management and the team, and how maybe some players were looking for an out because they wanted a better quality of life, and perhaps even better salaries, more money, because what happened was after working an incredible schedule. I mean, it talks about it at the start of the article, but what Astralis did at the end of 2019 was insane by any standard. But what they wanted was, a holiday, maybe more money, and instead what they got told was a holiday wouldn't be possible because they had commitments to other leagues. And they actually took a 30% pay cut because of the COVID-19 measures that a lot of organizations have been taking place. Now, that's bad for the CSGO team, but if you come down here, and one of the things I talked about, because I talked about the org, in its entirety, not just the CSGO team, the League of Legends team got double hit because, I'll just read you what I wrote here. We're told that the League of Legends team that play under the Origin brand, that's not true anymore, they've rebranded as Astralis, in particular felt aggrieved with how things have developed. It was made clear to the players that the organization had to operate within a strict budget due to the cost of entering into the league, which for those who don't know, it was several $1 million up front to be part of the European Franchise League. And this was going to impact on the type of signings they could make for the squad. Multiple sources from within the organization confirmed that at this time, the players were asked to take a reduction in salary so that org could free up the money to sign Upset from FC Schalke Esports, who the players really wanted to be a part of the squad. So the League of Legends team took a pay cut in November so they could sign Upset, but then they came back just a few months later and told them they would have to take another 30% cut due to the pandemic. Now, this caused a lot of division but in the team. It's very fractious. Some of the team were happy to take that on the chin, or, well, not happy, but they were willing to take it. Others wanted to contest it. Others spoke to agents and lawyers, and we ended up with an uneven application of that 30%, according to sources, I think not just in my own reporting. So, imagine then, when it later transpires that the Astralis organization is fined in a competitive ruling by Riot Games for misconduct, essentially. And the misconduct specifically applies to late payment of players. Now, remember, when I put my report out, the Astralis organization said that it was nonsense, that I didn't know what I was talking about, that, the usual organizational dance. Richard Lewis has no sources. We're not willing to fully commit that he made it up, but we're going to heavily imply that it's a fabrication without going all the way and saying it. It's the standard thing that happens after I put a report out. But I just want you to think, if this organization was doing so well and my reporting was so inaccurate and fabricated, why is it a few months later they're actually being fined for late payments to their League of Legends team? And I'll just read you the report entirely. They were fined €5,000, which actually seems to be very light considering the allegations. But it says here, after multiple Astralis team members reached out to the league reporting missing salary payments, as well as conduct unbecoming of an LEC team manager by the interim Astralis general manager, the league started an investigation into the matter. The league was able to confirm missing payments and flagged these towards Astralis, who then provided evidence that the missing payments were tied to the specifics of Danish jurisdiction as well as human error. So what's happened there, just to lay it out for you, is they're trying to make out that, oh yeah, there's this Danish law problem that prevented us from basically paying our players. But also, yes, human error as well. So in other words, the Danish jurisdiction part doesn't really matter. The human error is the far more important part of that, obviously, because if you were just waiting on Danish jurisdiction and there was no human error, then it sounds like by all accounts the money would have gone through. Astralis was fully cooperative and swiftly resolved the matter. The league confirmed all missing payments have now been received by the team members. So they only paid up, and they paid up super quick once Riot Games came knocking. Now, this happens a lot with organizations that have cash flow problems. They basically get away with as much as they can, and then when Big Daddy developer comes knocking on the door and saying, listen, we can kick you out the league if you want to fuck around, suddenly the money appears. Suddenly the whatever law they were waiting on, whatever rule, oh, it's all been resolved actually, bloody hell, human error, we lost an invoice, we didn't send an email, Christ, yeah, but look, here's the money now. You see this, I mean, this is a tale as old as time for me. So I know exactly what's going on there, reading between the lines. During the investigation, the league was also able to confirm that the Astralis GM, this is the interim general manager, exhibited conduct unbecoming of an LEC team manager, including the misrepresentation of certain contract terms with the team members and a singular instance of verbal misconduct. Now, I just want to stress something quickly here because there's a lot of misinformation flying around about who did this and who did what. So this is Deficio on Reddit. Deficio used to be the GM for Origin. He's subsequently left now, and people were saying, that doesn't sound like Deficio. Deficio, a notoriously nice guy, well-liked by the community, well-established. To make it absolutely clear, it was not him. It was the interim general manager. It was his replacement, and he confirms it here, saying, I understand the confusion, but I left before the start of the Astralis off-season, so I haven't been actively involved in the organization for a while. So all the people saying it's Deficio, you're wrong. Don't repeat that lie. His reputation doesn't need to be damaged. He doesn't need to be denigrated for something he didn't do. Now, it's been heavily intimated to me by my sources that it's actually this Casper Fit guy who was took over. And if you go and read that original Deserto report that I referred to earlier in this video, there were a number of players that complained about his style. It was people who were saying, a number of sources told me that players were complaining about his management style and they wanted to get away from him, just to be specific as to what the report says. So this is somebody who has previous. This is somebody who's a notorious ball buster. By all accounts, all the sources are saying, oh, look, he doesn't get along with players. He's very demanding. He makes them work every minute of their, scheduled training time. And I think he's publicly denied this. There's been a number of Danish interviews where he's referred to this report. And he said, basically, no, I have a great relationship with the players. This implies that isn't true, especially with the verbal misconduct. That implies like maybe shouting, maybe bullying, maybe threatening. But I think of more concern should be it's there in black and white now. They lied to the players about the terms of their contract. And if those players hadn't have gone and spoke to the agents, spoke to league representatives, spoke to lawyers, they would have had to eat maybe the pay cut on the chin and maybe actually not got this outstanding payment. Without knowing the specific details of why the payments were withheld, I can't really speculate on that. But it should be very concerning to these players and very concerning to fans of Astralis in general that Riot Games has had to come riding to the rescue here and hold them accountable to simply pay their League of Legends team. Now, the aftermath of the ruling, apart from the €5,000 fine, is, and this is very good by Riot Games, Astralis is going to be required to establish and communicate a direct avenue which team members can use to report potential grievances towards the Astralis ownership group. So now they are saying that Astralis have to have a complaint point of contact, which, again, just think about what that implies, that they need a specific avenue for players to complain and share grievances with so the league can act on it accordingly. It implies that maybe there's more systemic problems there. It also says Astralis is required to establish an onboarding program for their team members, including an outline of the above, as well as an overview of Danish vacation pay and tax payment easy ID requirements. The implication being here that this was part of the misrepresentation that the manager engaged in, that maybe the players, because they're not all from Denmark, maybe some of the players didn't understand the nuance of it and were lied to. That's what I would take from that clause being there. And also saying the league will schedule check-in calls with team members in the 2021 season to ensure the above has been executed. Astralis and their general manager will be officially warned for conduct unbecoming of an LEC team manager as we consider the LEC organizations responsible for the actions of their employees. Now, in the past, we've seen some pretty serious sanctions doled out to managers from Riot Games. Historically, the Meet Your Makers manager that threatened one of their players was banned from ever being involved in League of Legends within an official capacity, as in a Riot Games sanctioned league or team, ever again. So this is a serious warning and something Astralis need to be incredibly mindful about. But as I've been telling people, the idea that this is a big, shiny, liquid, functional organization with no problems and it treats all of their players incredibly well, we can see that this just simply isn't true. There's now an overwhelming amount of evidence that shows that there are problems going on within Astralis on a systemic level, that management is very fractious, doesn't have good relationship with players, as sources said in my previous reporting on this matter as it pertains to the CSGO team. And also that players are being now lied to about contractual details. If this is happening for the League of Legends team, it's probably happening throughout the organization, which has a CSGO team and a FIFA team as well. Astralis has got problems that they need to address, and I'm trying to draw as much attention to it as possible in order that it is addressed so the players on their books can have a better time of things, get paid what they're owed, and be treated in a manner that esports professionals can expect. So I wanted to bring this all to your attention because I know you guys have followed the Astralis saga, and this is further evidence that, I'm not biased, I'm not a liar, I'm not trying to, create a story where there isn't one, but you can surely see now with all of the evidence that something is rotten in Denmark, so to speak. Anyway, thanks very much for watching this video and all the support lately. Follow me on all of this stuff that's whizzing up on the screen now, and leave a comment, leave a thumbs up, all of that stuff in the algorithm, and I'll see you on the next video. Until then, take care.